It's midweek. Hello and welcome to Business Live. Coming up in this bulletin, Parliament votes to abolish the controversial electronic transfer levy, emissions levy and betting tax, marking a significant step towards scrapping these taxes enacted under the Akufo-Addo administration.
We are abolishing it, and the leader has emphasized the importance of it and the effect on Ghanaians.
We are live in Parliament, plus get to hear from a tax consultant on the back of that. Also in this bulletin, World Bank Business Ready 2024 report reveals setting up a business in Ghana is still a difficult and cumbersome thing to do compared to its peers in sub-Saharan Africa.
Registering a new business in Ghana takes 57 days. 57 days, compared to 3 days in Rwanda. Why? Can't Ghana do just as well as...
On the Joy Business Van today, we feature fashion startup Adishia Creations, which is redefining men's fashion with hand-woven Ghanaian net ties. We have details of this and more for you. Please stay. Grateful you could stay on. I am Pius Kojobaka, and in the last couple of hours, Parliament has voted to abolish the controversial electronic transfer levy, emissions levy and betting tax enacted under the Akufo-Addo administration. This is in fulfillment of the NDC's 2024 campaign pledge and its 120-day social contract. With President Mahama expected to sign them into law, this signals a big shift in government's economic policy. Now, these tax cuts were embedded in the 2025 budget presented by the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen. And basically, here's what transpired on the floor of the House prior to the passage of the bills to repeal these levies.
We are abolishing it, and the leader has emphasized the importance of it and the effect on Ghanaians, that in these difficult times, it is important that government gives back something to Ghanaians. And so we are giving 2 billion.
Honorable Minister, conclude. We have a long way to go.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm grateful. Honorable members,
the second reading of the bill has been duly considered under Standing Order 167. And at the conclusion of the debate, the question is, as many as are in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted.
An act to repeal the Electronic Transfer Levy Act 2022, Act 1075, and the Electronic Transfer Levy Amendment Act 2022, Act 1089, and to provide for related matters.
Honorable members, the Electronic Transfer Levy Repeal Bill 2025 accordingly read a second time.
All right, so that was what transpired in Parliament a few hours ago. Let's get into Parliament now and speak to our parliamentary correspondent, Kweku Asante. Kweku, thanks so much for your time here on Business Live. And we know the passage of these bills marks a significant step towards scrapping the levies, but its future now lies in President Mahama's hands, right?
Well, yes, following the passage of these bills in Parliament, E-Levy, emissions levy, and the betting tax, what is going to happen now is that they will go to the desk of the President, John Dramani Mahama, who will have to sign them into law. That is almost a given that the NDC campaigned heavily on abolishing these taxes. And in fact, it is part of their 120-day social contract with the Ghanaian public. And so that is almost a given. And so the expectation is that between now and next week, the bills will land on the desk of the president. Mind you, Monday is a holiday, Tuesday is a holiday. And so if any of the information I'm getting is anything to go by, perhaps by Friday, all these bills will land on the desk of the president, who will then sign it. It will ultimately then go back to the Ghana Revenue Authority, who will make a determination in terms of what we normally know as the practice direction, in terms of when exactly the laws will take effect. So that even when the E-Levy became law, we know it did take some time before the implementation began. And so the Ghana Revenue Authority will have to determine when exactly the implementation of the repeal of these laws will begin. But what is now certain and what is clear is that Parliament has done its job with regards to these laws. They have repealed these taxes and they will go to the desk of the president, like you said. The president will sign it. I'm getting an indication from the majority leadership that they want to move this process forward as soon as practicable. Ultimately, Friday, when the appropriation bill is passed, all this will feed into that, and then the president will make a determination as to whether or not he is signing this into law or not. But it's almost a given. We expect that the president will sign this into law.
And what's been the reaction from members of the House?
Well, generally, it's been bipartisan, because when it comes to E-Levy, emissions levy, the betting tax, both political parties did put in their manifesto that they were going to cancel these. And so it was expected. When it came to the E-Levy, the minority were not opposed. Emissions levy, they only raised concerns about climate change issues and calling on the finance minister to perhaps come back to Parliament, fashion out a new law to deal with the issue of climate change that is being compounded by matters having to do with emissions. And so Frank Anodampre raised those issues. The sticking point regarding the betting tax was a disagreement as whether or not the NPP side actually implemented any betting tax at all, because this is a blanket law on lotteries. The finance minister explains that the lotteries law, in terms of the interpretation, includes all other games of chance, including betting tax. And so their expectation and their understanding is that what they have done now includes the matter having to do with betting tax. So that has also been dealt with, and they've been dealt with. So there was sort of a unanimity, bipartisanship around the repeal of these taxes, and ultimately the votes have gone down. The taxes have all now been repealed.
Lukwara Asante, thanks so much for your time here on Business Live. And I want us to elevate the conversation much further. Let's get onto Zoom and speak to tax consultant Francis Timoboy. Francis, thanks so much for agreeing to speak to us on Business Live. Your initial reactions to these levies that have been repealed by Parliament?
Pius, I don't know whether you can hear me.
I can, Francis.
Let me know if you can hear me.
I can.
Yes, so I think today is a great day for anybody who is concerned with formalizing an economy like our own. It is a great day for a cash-light society. If you are interested, you go to some advanced countries, Pius, they don't use cash. In that case, you can track what actually the economic activities are. From the one when the E-Levy was passed, for example, all the assumptions were wrong. We were told that we're going to rake in so much money, over 11 billion. We're told that we're not going to IMF. All of these things never came to pass. So far, I think we raised a little bit close to 4 billion Ghana cedis. So I was happy that the two main political parties saw the mistake they did and they all promised scrapping it. Today, we've seen the scrapping. We are happy that digitalization agenda will now continue. We now want to formalize the economy the more, and we'll be able to track proper transactions. I believe anybody who was shying away from E-Levy because of the tax can now go back to their mobile money transaction and freely transact. It had no place in tax. You could not describe it as whether indirect tax or consumption tax, or you don't know how to even call it. So I am happy that today the scrapping has taken place. When it comes to the emission levy, look, Pius, we are paying 10 pesos per liter today as we speak on every fuel you buy. We call it pollution levy. So why are we now coming back again to come and tax people on the size of the engine capacity? It was double tax and it was misplaced. I think that is a great day. When it comes to betting tax, we've expressed our views that yes, if you look at the social concerns, we should have maintained it. But I think government promised, because betting tax at least was giving us more than roto. But since we have promised, I mean, it's fine. But overall, we are grateful to Parliament for speeding this particular bill. I think it was admitted under the Secretary of Agency, so they've done it very fast, and we are happy.
You're grateful to Parliament, you say. But Francis, what do you make of arguments that the quantum of monies from these levies, when scrapped, would have an insignificant impact on our revenue stream? That's been the argument.
No, I think they've already made provision for that. For example, they said that the 2% from the refund accounts will now be limited from 6% to 4%. So we make immediately available 2% to government to use. And that is even more than the E-Levy. E-Levy and betting tax combined. So I don't think that we have any concern at all if we manage our affairs very well. It gives government the opportunity to also look at proper way of taxing the people. For example, going after them in terms of compliance. But overall, the E-Levy, have you asked yourself why even Visa in the United States, they don't tax Visa transactions? If you pay Visa with if you pay for your goods and services using Visa, why is the whole US not taxing Visa payment? So let's not even talk about revenue. The basis was wrong.
All right. Aside from the expenditure cuts we've seen government embarked upon, what other innovative means can government deploy to make up for any shortfall whatsoever?
All right, so we're waiting for the VAT reform. Overall, we have seen that the way we have structured our VAT is not efficient. It's no wonder if you take 36 African countries, Ghana is performing poorly. I think we are the least when it comes to VAT, contribution to our total revenue. Whilst even Togo is doing 42%, we are doing just 18%. So the VAT reform is expected to, free businesses so that we can see real expansion and then tax them appropriately. Again, the mining sector, the 1% to 3%, we expect that to bring in some money. But overall, they are going to embark on serious tax education. They are also going to embark on full compliance. Few people in Ghana pay direct taxes. So I think that if we do this one, we can easily close the gap.
And ultimately, before we wrap up the conversation, this should signal some improvement when it comes to mobile transactions, if indeed the president assents to the bill.
Certainly. Mobile transaction is going to, shoot up. We expect that to occur. Again, even betting. You remember the betting was scrapped. The withholding tax is what has been scrapped. Yeah. But the companies who operate what we call the gross gaming winning, they pay a lot of money to government, the companies themselves. So now that the E-Levy has been scrapped, people are going to use mobile money to do more betting. So in the end, we even expect that the revenue that these operators are going to get, we are going to tax them anyway, because those who do the proper mobile money, you remember they pay 30%, corporate tax. So if their corporate tax is 25%, and then they pay growth and sustainability levy of 5%. So at the end of the day, we are getting 30% straight away, and so it's even better than a tax that we cannot describe, and it appears it's only Ghana and some few other countries who operate it. But I think that it's a very good move for the digital agenda that we are, pursuing. No wonder the two political parties all saw it and they promised they were going to scrap it.
Very well. Thank you so much, Francis Timoboy, tax consultant, for your input this very moment. I truly appreciate it, Francis Timoboy. Away from that, Finance Minister Dr. Tuforsen has revealed that government is implementing some aggressive measures to help check expenditure across all institutions and agencies. The Finance Minister disclosed this when the World Bank Country Director Robert O'Brien paid a working visit to the ministry. More in this report.
The Finance Minister revealed that some of these expenditure rationalization measures being implemented will see government official travel delegations reduced significantly. He added that 3 officials will now be expected to accomplish the work of 10 while ensuring greater efficiency but not compromising productivity. The minister added that his priority is to send a clear message to both investors and development partners that the country is on the path to sustainable spending. Dr. Forson also noted that government remains committed to ensure that all these measures are carried out within the framework of the IMF program. The minister maintained that these measures reflect government's commitment to prudent management of the country's resources, drive growth, and improve the livelihood of Ghanaians. Dr. Achuforsen during the meeting also thanked the World Bank for their role in the recovery of Ghana's economy, as well as their promise to extend fresh funding to some sectors.
I want to stay with the World Bank because its Business Ready 2024 report has revealed that setting up a business in Ghana is difficult and cumbersome compared to the country's peers in sub-Saharan Africa. The report assesses the regulatory framework and public services directed at firms and the efficiency with which regulatory framework and public services are combined in practice. Here's a report.
According to the report, Ghana scored lowest in market competition, business entry, and dispute resolution. In addition, the report said the country lacks an electronic case management system that allows initial complaint to be filed electronically. Speaking at the launch, the World Bank's Division Director for Ghana, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, Robert Talusio O'Brien, said the time processes to register business in Ghana is too cumbersome and difficult.
Registering a new business in Ghana takes 57 days. 57 days, compared to 3 days in Rwanda. Why? Can't Ghana do just as well as Rwanda? Of course it can, of course it can. Market competition, Ghana scores only 32 out of 100, and the reason for this is weak competition policies and opaque procurement systems. Again, should Ghana be in the bottom third? No. Dispute resolution. This one is really a shocker. According to our data, resolving a commercial case takes an average of 900 days. This is 4 times longer than Côte d'Ivoire.
The report also highlighted some positive marks Ghana scored. These include the highest in labor, utility services, and business insolvency.
So the Be Ready highlights some areas where Ghana is doing well, and I also think it's important to give credit where credit is due. On labor market regulations, for example, Ghana scores 68.6 out of 100 and outpaces much of sub-Saharan Africa in labor rights, clarity, dispute resolution, and fairness. So it's one thing to celebrate. Utility services, Ghana scores 68.5, well above Côte d'Ivoire, which is 58.9, Rwanda, which is 67.8, and is closing the gap with Tanzania, 78.8. Transparent tariffs and strong safety oversight contribute to investor confidence in this area.
On her part, the Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry and Member of Parliament for Techima North Constituency, Elizabeth Ofosu-Ejare, pointed out some areas in the report that could be adopted to improve ease of doing business in Ghana.
Environment for doing business should be easy, bottom line. It is easy when you register within a short time, when there are regulatory frameworks that coordinate, that speak to each other, where dispute resolution is done in an expeditious manner. That is when people will be inclined to invest in your country. As a country, I would not say that we are doing badly, but there is more room for improvement, because if we compare with our peers, it is obvious that we need to up our game. I'm excited at what is going on currently, and as Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, my responsibility is to help create the enabling environment for businesses to thrive, because I'm looking for FDI, I'm looking for exports, and all these will happen when we create the enabling environment.
You're still watching Business Life. We are back with a Joy Businessman. To Business Life, let's now take the Joy Business Van. Thousands of neckties crafted from hand-woven kente and fugu fabrics, a dish of creation is redefining men's fashion by showcasing the rich heritage of Ghanaian textiles. Founded by Emmanuel Nyampong, the brand continues to gain popularity and is featured on today's edition of the Joy Business Van.
Hello, Joy Businessman. This is Emmanuel Nyampon, CEO of Abolish Creation, and you are welcome to our production space. Growing up in Kumasi, I had the opportunity to attend a lot of events and ceremonies, and whenever I saw the royals wearing their kente cloth, it just looked very magnificent, and I was like, is there a way that, this wonderful masterpiece could be implemented into a fashion apparel where men can be able to wear it regardless of the occasion? And that is how Abolish Creation started with our kente ties.
Emmanuel was not originally a fashion designer, so he had to train. He learned from his dad and wife. The hand-woven kente and fugu fabrics are cherished and communicate extensively about rich Ghanaian cultural values. Turning them into neckties was not the prevailing fashion then. Emmanuel was quite skeptical in the beginning about how it would be received.
I was worried that Ghanaians or Africans would come to accept this because we love Western material. But then I realized that the foreigners were more interested in the in our kente ties, and when our fellow Ghanaians saw that the foreigners were even wearing our own material, it kind of sparked something in their minds, and some of them started approaching me to want to buy some of the ties. And since then, it's been going quite well. A lot of Ghanaians are getting to know us, and more of them want to wear our kente ties.
Abolish Creations has been in business for 6 years and has so far produced 20,000 neckties and still counting, most of them exported to other African countries.
How do I look?
The kente and fugu fabrics are sourced from local weaving communities. Abolish Creations prides itself as one of the few designers using hand-woven fabrics for the neckties. Design for each tie is carefully thought through to make it exceptional, some of which we can't share, but production entails a lot of cutting, trimming according to pattern, sewing and stitching, and hand hemming.
Finishing to me is the most important thing. If the finishing is not nice, then you don't have a very quality product. So our ties go through a quality control at the end of making the ties to make sure that there is no thread out there. It has to look perfect. If it doesn't look perfect, it goes back to the beginning until it looks perfect.
Quality finishing is important for Emmanuel since most of the neckties are exported to the foreign market. He and his team are able to make 100 ties in a day. The increased demand for Abolish Creations ties has been helped by social media marketing and international exhibitions.
This summer, we have the opportunity to sell our ties in different countries. I'll be going to Kenya personally. We have representatives in Mozambique, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Uganda, Cape Verde. And what we do is we take the ties out there, and the moment people buy the ties, they would be asked, oh, where did you get this tie? It looks different, it's nice. And the person would definitely refer them back to us at Abolish Creations. So apart from social media, we do organic marketing, which is reaching out to people, reaching out to influencers to also wear the tie and post it so that people can get to know more about us.
Now, Abolish Creations is on a mission to increase its domestic market. Where would Emmanuel start from, though?
Breaking the mental barrier of Ghanaians not being interested in kente ties, okay, or ties that are made with the kente cloth. There's a lot of people who still prefer the westernized tie, which I think is because they are not yet exposed to our tie. Those who have get in touch with us and gotten our tie have literally stopped wearing westernized tie because it makes them feel royal. So that's a big challenge, but gradually we are working on it.
Emmanuel is aiming to have his products in all major boutiques, and there are big plans for the future too.
The next thing is to have a big production space where we can be able to produce more, even have weavers there where even people can come to see how the kente is woven and also to see how the tie is made, and also to be able to take the ties out there. We've started with some African countries, and 6 years from now, we want our ties to be out there, to be everywhere. We want Hollywood actors to be wearing our ties for the red carpet. We want to be everywhere for everyone to know that, hey, kente is there and Adishie has come to stay.
That's our package for tonight. I am Pius Kujobaka. We have more for you when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Grateful serving you.